I destroyed my father's life to keep my mother's secret. He thinks I caused the divorce, but the truth is much worse. Hey, my name is Sarah and I'm 31. And yeah, I just basically ruined the life of the person I care about the most, my father, Robert. To be more precise, I allowed it to be ruined. It all happened so fast, literally over 1 month. But the reverberations will echo for the rest of my life. My 30 days of hell didn't start with a bang, but with a text message from my mother, Elizabeth, that simply flipped my world upside down. She and Dad had been married for 35 years. 35 years, you know? They always seemed like a rock to me, the standard I aspired to. 3 weeks before Dad discovered it, Mom texted me. She didn't call, she texted as if talking about buying milk. Sarah, I need to talk to you. It's very personal and concerns only us. Not a word to your father. I have another child. I reread that message 5 times sitting in my office before I could even move. Another child? My mom? She's 60 years old. My heart skipped a beat, and a crazy carousel of the most idiotic and wild assumptions spun in my head. I immediately called her. Are you joking, Mom? What kind of nonsense are you talking about? I could barely speak. It's not nonsense, Sarah. His name is Noah. He's 2 years old. His father is my former colleague. Remember, I worked at that gallery 5 years ago? It only happened a couple of times, but... well, here we are. I couldn't hide him anymore. He needs surgery and I need his birth certificate. I don't know how to tell Robert. She said it so calmly, as if discussing the price of gas. Noah, 2 years old. In another part of the state. Surgery. All of it crashed down on me like a concrete slab. My father, Robert, a kind, quiet man who worked hard his whole life so we could have everything, who adored me, and now this. I immediately asked, why are you telling me? Tell him. And that's where my personal nightmare begins. Mom started applying pressure. Tears, hysterics over the phone that I hadn't heard from her in 20 years. I can't. I'm afraid of what he'll do to me. He'll destroy me. If you help me, I can explain everything to him once all the clinic business is settled. I just need time. Just tell him that you know I filed for divorce and don't tell him the reason. I'll explain everything myself. She was asking me to lie. Not just a lie, but to conceal the existence of her 2-year-old son. She wanted me to take on part of her sin to buy herself time. And Robert? He would just break. I knew he would think I was on her side, that I knew about the divorce earlier and didn't tell him. But I agreed. Why? Because she's my mother, and I couldn't imagine her without money, without support, completely alone. I thought it was a temporary fix, that she really would tell him the truth in a week. A week passed. She didn't tell him. Dad started noticing her pulling away. She began staying overnight at her sister's, supposedly helping with her bad joints. He called me every day. He asked if Mom was okay because she had become cold. I lied. She's fine, Dad, don't worry, was like a hammer blow to my conscience. And then, 4 days ago, he found the documents. The divorce papers. Lying in Mom's forgotten bag. And his world collapsed. That same night he called me. His voice was such that I thought he might cry right there. Sarah, you knew, didn't you? You knew she wanted a divorce and you didn't tell me. I kept silent. I couldn't say yes, because I didn't know the reason for the divorce. I couldn't say no, because that would be a lie. In the end, I just squeezed out, Dad, I only found out recently. It's her decision. I don't know what to tell you. He didn't believe me. He interpreted my silence as confirmation that Mom and I were in this together. In his eyes, I became an accomplice to the betrayal. I destroyed my father's life to keep my mother's secret. And now I have to figure out what I'll tell him when he asks me about it again. And he will ask. I feel like this is just the beginning. The fallout from him finding those papers was immediate and brutal. For the first 2 days after that heartbreaking call, Robert, my dad, didn't answer my attempts to reach him. I called him from work, I texted, I even considered driving the 3 hours back to my hometown just to show up on his porch, but something held me back. Fear mostly. Fear of seeing the genuine pain I was complicit in causing. Fear of him looking me in the eye and asking the one question I couldn't dodge. Why? On the 3rd day, he finally called me back. It wasn't the sound of a grieving husband. It was the voice of a man plotting a battle strategy. He sounded cold, calculated, and terrifyingly focused. Sarah, he started, his voice completely flat. I've been going through the accounts. Do you know where all the savings went? The account we set up for her retirement, the one with nearly $50,000? It's gone. Cleared out 2 weeks ago. My blood ran cold. $50,000. I didn't know about that. My mother, Elizabeth, was not only hiding a 2-year-old child named Noah from him, but she had also emptied their joint savings account. This was a whole new level of betrayal, and it made the moral dilemma I was in 10 times worse. I wasn't just covering up an affair and a secret kid. I was covering up theft. I don't know anything about the accounts, Dad. You guys handled the finances, I stammered, hating how weak my defense sounded. He didn't miss a beat. You're lying, Sarah. I know you two have been talking. She told you she was leaving, and you kept it from me. Now tell me the truth. Did she take the money to run off with some new life? Is that why you're covering for her? Because she promised you a piece of the pie? That accusation, the thought that I was helping my mother steal from my father for financial gain, stung more than anything else. It felt incredibly unfair. Yet I couldn't defend myself without dropping the nuclear truth about Noah. And I still had Mom's desperate plea ringing in my ears. I just need time, Sarah. Just until Noah's surgery is over. Then I will tell him everything. The surgery was still a week away. So I maintained the lie, but I shifted the blame subtly. Dad, Mom has been dealing with a lot of stress lately. I think she just wanted a clean break. She probably thought you would fight her for every penny. He took a deep, rattling breath. A clean break? After 35 years? No, Sarah, she left me because she found something better. Someone with more money, maybe. That's why she took our security. And you knew it. You knew she was planning this financial hit, and you let her do it. It was a relief in a sick way that he latched onto the money. He had replaced the horrifying reality of an illegitimate child with the slightly more manageable pain of financial betrayal. In his mind, the collapse of their marriage wasn't about a deep, dark secret. It was about greed. And I was the key witness who refused to testify. The following week, the tension was a living thing between us. He started calling me to discuss legal options, divorce lawyers, and how to track the money. He was entirely focused on the financial angle. Every conversation became a monologue about how Elizabeth was selfish, how she had planned this for months, and how I was letting him down by not being on his side. He said things like, "When your mother and I get into court, they'll want to know who else knew about this before I did, Sarah. They'll want to know why you kept the truth from your own father." This felt like a threat, yet it was wrapped in the despair of a broken man. I was trapped between two adults who refused to communicate honestly. My father, clinging to the easy explanation of money, and my mother, using me as a shield to protect her dark secret and her new child. The weight of it was crushing me. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Robert's face, etched with confusion and pain. I knew that in just a few days the surgery would happen. And after that, Mom would have no more excuses. The time for the real truth was approaching, and I was going to be the one caught in the crossfire. I made a decision yesterday. I'm going to confront my mother. She needs to tell him the truth now, before he completely destroys his life, and mine, over a simple $50,000 lie, when the real cost is a 2-year-old boy named Noah. What should I tell my father when he asks me to sign an affidavit next week confirming I knew about the divorce before he did? The confrontation I planned with my mother, Elizabeth, didn't happen over the phone. I knew it had to be face-to-face. I took a personal day off work, drove the 3 hours to her sister's house, where she was staying, and walked straight in. The air in that house was thick with guilt and cheap perfume. I found her in the kitchen, casually drinking coffee, looking completely relaxed, as if she hadn't just blown up 35 years of marriage and stolen $50,000. She looked up at me surprised. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" "I thought you were working," she said, her voice too light, too airy. I bypassed the pleasantries. "I'm here because Robert is falling apart. He thinks you ran off with the savings to be with some rich guy. He's talking to lawyers, filing motions, trying to track down the money. You need to tell him the truth about Noah now." Her smile vanished. Her expression hardened instantly. The calm mask she wore cracked. "You drove all this way just to lecture me? I told you I will handle this. The surgery is in 3 days. I can't be dealing with Robert's dramatics right now. Noah needs me focused. Dramatics? Mom, he's your husband. He's my father. He thinks I betrayed him too. He's facing financial ruin because you took that money, and he's facing emotional ruin because he thinks I'm helping you steal it. I slammed my hand on the counter. You put me in the middle of your mess. You asked me to lie, and I did, but I won't let you destroy him over a lie when the truth is right there. Then she did the one thing that truly stunned me. She laughed. A short, sharp, cynical laugh. Oh, Robert will survive, Sarah. He always does. He's dramatic, always has been. He'll get over it eventually. He just needs to think about the money for a while. Keeps his mind off the real issue. The real issue is Noah, Mom. And you need to be honest. He is going to find out eventually, and when he does, he will realize I knew the whole time and chose not to tell him. He will never forgive me. The thought of my father's final rejection made my throat close up. She leaned in, her eyes narrowing, and her voice dropped to a fierce whisper. The voice of a mother delivering an order, not a request. Listen to me, Sarah. You have no idea what it's like to be me right now. If you tell Robert the truth about Noah before I'm ready, I will not only deny everything, but I will tell him that you knew about Noah the entire 2 years, that you were the one who helped me hide the whole thing, that you helped me find the house for the baby, and that you encouraged me to take the money so I could finally leave him. It will be your word against mine. And who do you think he'll believe? The daughter who lied to him for weeks, or the wife who just made a mistake? That was the ultimate ultimatum. A cold, calculated threat to fully transfer the blame, the shame, and the entire moral weight of her actions onto my shoulders. If I broke her secret, she would ensure my father believed I was the primary architect of his destruction. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the sound of her stirring her cold coffee. I felt the tension tighten like a physical knot in my stomach. She was ruthless, operating on pure self-preservation, and she was using the one thing I valued most, my relationship with my father, as a weapon. You can't do that, Mom. I whispered, feeling defeated. I can and I will, she said, finally taking a sip of coffee. You stick to the script, Sarah. Let him think it's about the money for just a few more days. For Noah. For me. Or you lose your father forever. I left the house without another word. I drove halfway back to my apartment, pulled over on the side of the road, and just stared blankly. The conflict wasn't just between my parents anymore. It was entirely on me. Do I protect my father from the devastating truth for a few more days, knowing he blames me for the financial mess? Or do I tell him the truth about Noah now, knowing my mother will throw me under the bus and make him believe I orchestrated everything? The surgery is in 72 hours. Robert is asking me to meet with his lawyer this Friday. I need to make a move. The 72 hours leading up to Noah's surgery felt like an eternity compressed into 3 days of agonizing sleeplessness. I couldn't shake my mother's ultimatum, reveal the secret, and she'd make me the villain of my father's life, claiming I orchestrated the whole mess, including the theft of the money. I was paralyzed, stuck between two destructive paths. On Thursday morning, I got a text from Robert. Not a painful rant, but a simple businesslike message. I need you to come to my house tomorrow. 10 a.m. Attorney Daniel Miller will be here. We need to finalize the affidavit about the timing of Elizabeth's divorce filing. This was it. The moment I had to sign a legal document that would be a lie by omission, confirming I knew about the divorce, but hiding the infinitely more serious reason for it. If I signed it, I protected my mother and Noah for now, but I cemented my father's belief that I was her accomplice in financial betrayal. If I refused, I risked him demanding to know the real reason, which would trigger my mother's catastrophic counterlie. I drove up to the house Friday morning. It looked exactly the same. The old oak tree in the front yard, the slightly peeling paint on the porch, but everything felt tainted. Daniel Miller, a stern man in a gray suit, was already seated in the living room, papers spread across the coffee table. My father looked tired but resolute. He wasn't broken anymore. He was focused on justice, focused on recovering the $50,000, which he still believed was the crux of the issue. Thank you for coming, Sarah, my father said, nodding toward the papers. Daniel has drafted a simple statement confirming that Elizabeth told you about her intentions to file for divorce on or around 3 weeks ago, and that you did not share this information with me. It's necessary to establish a timeline for the financial investigation. I looked at the document. It was technically true. She had told me about the divorce then. But the subtext, that I kept the secret because I was helping her financially ruin him, was a dagger. Dad, I started trying to find a way to stall. Do we really need to involve the courts like this? Can't you and Mom just talk? Robert's face darkened. Talk? She cleared out our life savings and now refuses to answer my calls. There is nothing left to talk about. We are doing this by the book. It's the only way to get some of that money back. He paused, looking at me intently. This document simply confirms what you already told me. You are with me on this, aren't you, Sarah? The attorney cleared his throat. It's a standard affidavit, Ms. Miller. Just sign it and initial here and here. He pushed a pen toward me. My hand was shaking. Just as I reached for the pen, my phone vibrated in my pocket. It was a text from Elizabeth. It's happening. Going into pre-op now. Everything is fine. Don't ruin this. I love you. The immediate urgency of the surgery, the reason for all this secrecy and stress, slammed into me. I had to protect Noah. I had to protect my mother's chance to finally do right by him. Picked up the pen. But just before I could sign, Robert's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his face went completely white. He didn't answer it. He just stared at the number. What is it, Dad? I asked. He slowly put the phone down on the table. That number. That's the number your mother always calls me from when she's using the hospital landline or her sister's VoIP line. But I had it blocked on her specific contact. That was the other number. The one she's been using for the last few months. He looked at the number again, then back at me. He looked suspicious but mostly confused. He pushed the phone across the table to me. Answer it, Sarah. Tell me who the hell is calling her at the hospital right now, and why they are calling me. The pen fell from my fingers onto the table, making a sharp clicking sound. This wasn't Elizabeth calling. This was someone else using a secure, unblocked hospital line that my father immediately recognized. I picked up the phone. I didn't know whether I was about to talk to a strange doctor, a concerned relative, or the biological father of Noah. The attorney and my father were watching me, waiting. The moment of truth, the terrible, painful, unavoidable truth, was no longer something I could control or postpone. I pressed the answer button. I have to answer the call. Who is on the other end? And what will they say that makes the whole $50,000 issue completely irrelevant? I stared at the glowing screen for a split second. The hospital line ID mocking the intense silence in the living room. Robert was leaning forward, his eyes burning into mine. Daniel Miller, the lawyer, just watched, passive but alert. I brought the phone to my ear and pressed answer. Hello. My voice was barely a rasp. A woman's voice, tired and official, responded. Is this Robert Miller's phone? I apologize for the direct call. This is Nurse Helen from St. Jude's Pediatric ICU. I'm trying to reach Elizabeth Miller. Is she available? Pediatric ICU. The two words hung in the air, heavy and lethal. My father didn't react immediately. The words were for me yet. Elizabeth isn't available right now, I managed. I'm her daughter, Sarah. Is everything okay? Is it about Noah? The nurse hesitated, and then the final massive piece of the puzzle clicked brutally into place. You're Sarah. Good. I need to speak to the family immediately. I know this is sudden, but there have been complications with the procedure. We need to talk about the long-term care plan. Mrs. Miller signed a document stating that in the event of any complications regarding long-term care, the contact person for the required financial resources is Mr. Robert Miller. My breath hitched. My mother hadn't just taken the $50,000 for the surgery. She had designated my father, the man she was divorcing, the man she had betrayed with a secret child, as the responsible party for Noah's long-term post-operative care. The $50,000 was the down payment. The real cost was astronomical, possibly for the rest of Noah's childhood. And she had ensured that legally, the burden would fall squarely on Robert. The silence around me shattered. Robert heard the name Noah. He heard the word complications. He heard his own name associated with financial responsibility. What did she just say, Sarah? Who is Noah? What long-term care? What did she sign? His voice wasn't just angry. It was laced with a terrifying absolute disbelief. I couldn't protect her anymore. Not now. The consequences of her actions were not just emotional betrayal, but a catastrophic financial liability that would utterly destroy my father. I put the phone on speaker, quickly telling the nurse, "One moment, please. My father is here." I looked at Robert, and then I delivered the cold, hard truth that my mother had risked everything to keep hidden. "Dad, Elizabeth didn't leave you for $50,000. She left you because she had a child 2 years ago, a boy named Noah. He needed surgery, and she used the savings for the initial payment. But he had complications, and she legally made you responsible for all the future costs. She put your name on the hospital forms." Robert went silent. The color drained from his face until he looked like marble. The attorney, Daniel Miller, leaned forward and took the phone from the table. "This is Daniel Miller, legal counsel. Please confirm the document assigning financial responsibility." As the lawyer began talking to the nurse, dealing with the cold legal ramifications, Robert slowly turned his focus back to me. His eyes were no longer accusatory about the $50,000. They were simply vacant. "You knew," he whispered. "The child. The secret. The risk. You knew the whole time." I nodded once, tears finally burning my eyes. "She made me promise, Dad. She threatened to tell you I helped her plan everything, that I encouraged her to take the money to hide Noah. Unless I kept quiet until after the surgery." He didn't yell. He didn't even stand up. He just looked at me, his only daughter, his voice laced with the finality of ultimate loss. "You chose her secret. You chose a lie that risked ruining me financially for the rest of my life, just to protect her from telling the truth. You stood by and watched me break, and you said nothing." He wasn't angry about the money anymore. He was angry about the moral choice I had made. The choice to protect the betrayer from consequences, at the cost of his peace and our relationship. "Dad, I didn't want to lose you," I pleaded. "You already did, Sarah," he interrupted, his voice flat. "The money. We can deal with that. But you showed me where your loyalty truly lies. You stood in my living room today, ready to sign a lie, knowing I was about to be responsible for a 2-year-old child I didn't know existed. You were waiting for the timer to run out. And that is unforgivable." He stood up, walked over to the desk, and picked up the unsigned affidavit. He ripped it slowly in half, then into quarters, letting the pieces flutter to the floor. "The meeting is over, Daniel. We have a new problem." He didn't look back at me. I was dismissed. I drove away, leaving my father and the attorney sitting amidst the torn pieces of paper and the crushing weight of a 2-year-old secret. Noah needs care. Elizabeth is still a mother trying to save her son. And Robert is now a legally liable stranger to a sick child. The $50,000 was a smokescreen. The real cost was our family, and the price of my silence was the irreversible destruction of trust with the man who raised me. I protected the secret, and in doing so I didn't save anyone. I only ensured that everyone would eventually lose everything. Now I have to figure out how to live with being the daughter who chose silence over truth, and what I owe to the father who just cut me out of his life.